people at our house, Kate. We played Dungeons and Dragons. It was very nice.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, hi. You're listening to Service from Hell, a podcast featuring people that are currently in customer service positions or the lucky few that got out and all of the good, bad, and infinitely irritating things that go along with that work. I'm actor and writer Kate Gaffney, and am uniquely qualified to discuss this as I used to work at a very busy and very popular comedy club in Los Angeles. And at least one of you listening right now has probably grabbed me and told me you were ready to order when I was running around like a crazy person. So let's eat. I'd like to welcome our guest, comic Jackie Kashian. Is it Kashian? Is that how you say it?
It is Kashian, you asked me, and because here's the thing, I just recorded my new album, which hopefully will be out yesterday. But I've named it Staycation because of the COVID and because I want people to know how to pronounce my name finally.
Well, that's very clever. All right. Well, I'm going to go on with your bio. Originally from South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Kashian has been doing stand-up for over 35 years. Jackie can most recently be heard on NPR and seen on HBO's Two Dope Queens. Jackie has had several #1 albums on Amazon and iTunes, hopefully including Staycation, and has 2 extremely successful podcasts, The Dork Forest, since 2006, y'all. That's pre anybody else in this space. So everybody else that claims to be an OG can suck it, where she talks with people about what they love to do, think about, and collect. She also has a podcast with Lori Kilmartin, who is lovely, where they talk about the thing they love most in the world, stand-up comedy, called The Jackie and Laurie Show. I better know Jackie from her hilarious podcast and also her insanely funny comedy, but I also am meeting her for the first time right now in front of all of you, so I am probably most excited that I get to interrogate someone so funny right now because she's friends with a lot of lovely people in the comedy world that I know. So that said, Jackie, let's go. What got you into comedy? What got you into podcasting so early?
How did I get into stand-up? Well, I have told this story at least once today. Let's tell it again. It's 1984. Ronald Reagan has us all by the short hairs. So I'm going to college, University of Wisconsin, Madison. Bill Kinnison owns a comedy club there. He is Sam Kinnison's brother. I am 19 years old. The drinking age is 18. So my friends are like, shall we go to the comedy club? And I say, yes, we shall. And then I proceed to get so drunk that I heckle Sam Kinison so much that the management has to come up to me and tell me to shut the fuck up several times until finally the guy goes, open mic is on Sunday. Seriously, you have to shut up. So I came back 3 weeks later, did open mic. It was like falling into a vat of heroin, or what I assume is like falling into a vat of heroin. And I got a 1.8 that semester. There you go.
Okay, so, and what did
there's the short, there's the concise, there's the short version.
Yep, I'm into it. Okay, so you get into comedy because you were heckling, and you actually, that marks the second guest on the podcast that got into comedy starting with heckling.
It's an indictment. Every time I'm heckled, I'm just like, who deserves it?
I do.
Who deserves it? Yeah, I guess, except for that I don't. And
that's right.
None of us do. None of us deserve it, you guys.
Yeah, heckling is the worst. Okay, so now what got you to move from South Milwaukee to LA? Because that's quite a change.
Well, South Milwaukee to Madison, Wisconsin, where I went to college. Madison, Wisconsin, we bought a $50 car when we graduated and drove to Cape Cod, and I worked at a hot dog stand. And then a couple of my friends from college, we all sort of dispersed, much like the Armenians. Anyway, but we dispersed, and one of my friends was moving to Minneapolis. All of my comic friends, my work friends from Madison, were all moving to Chicago to do stand-up, and I was like, I'm going to Minneapolis. I am going in the opposite direction of yourselves. And I have a brother who lives there, so I knew that I could at least get one square meal a week. And so that was in 1990. And so from 90 to like 96, 97, I lived in Minneapolis, did the road. And then in 96, 97, I moved to Los Angeles because a friend of mine was like, you don't have any kids. Get out of here. Give it a shot. Run it up the flagpole. See if anyone cares. And so I did, and I've been here ever since, and I love it.
You do? Okay.
I do.
And
yes.
Did you want to, was your thought, as soon as comedy takes off, then I'm going to get into acting and movies and all of that, or was comedy your main goal?
The weird weird thing about me and moving to Los Angeles is that I am not good at the rest of show business, right? I can do stand-up comedy, but I'm not, like, I would like to act, but everyone I know who is an actor literally doesn't say, I would like to act. They fucking act. They do student films. They produce their own YouTube thing. They write plays for themselves. There's some old costumes in the attic. They fucking do it. And that's how I am with stand-up. And so I would like to act. I would like to voice over more than anything, which is more sort of podcasting and that kind of thing. But one thing I've never wanted to do, though I look back at it and go, hey, you're an idiot, is I never wanted to write for a show. Because this is what I picture. 5 to 14 people in a windowless room making dick jokes until someone says something funny. Not my idea of a party, because it's all dudes. So it's just going to be one fisting joke after another. And I'm just like, and I like a good fisting joke as much as the next person.
Who doesn't?
But let me tell you how many good fisting jokes I've heard. I can think of none. Which means there might have been 2.
So you weren't really, the goal wasn't much beyond comedy, although even having a comedy goal is shooting for the stars.
Well, it's fine. I mean, the thing about stand-up is that I knew I wanted to do stand-up on television, which is interesting since I've been here quite some time. And I've done stand-up on television. One hand, we can count it. Right now, actually, I'm in such a pissy mood, Kate, because I just recorded my new album. I filmed my new special, and I filmed it and paid for it myself because ostensibly the reason is because I want to own my own content, Kate. And that is I am not wrong. But here's the other reason. Nobody offered me a giant bag of fucking money to do it. So how about that? And if you want to cut up an hour into 1-minute chunks for TikTok, you have to have video.
Yes. Okay. So you funded your own and then you shot it. But then how does distribution work if you're funding it yourself? Do you just start giving it to people to put on networks, or where can people see it?
Well, that's an excellent question. I have no idea. I paid, actually a friend of mine split it with me. I had 2 albums ago. This Will Make an Excellent Horcrux was my, I think, third album. And I also filmed that and made that into a DVD that I sold on the road. 3 out of 10 people still own a DVD player. So I would like a DVD. My father would like a DVD, but he's 84. But the thing is he loves it because there's always 20 new minutes about him. And but the thing is, so Horcrux is actually, it's on YouTube. When the pandemic started, I was like, just don't go out. So I put it as my pinned tweet, the unlisted link. I ripped it and put it on YouTube, and it got, I think it got some views. I don't know. Anyway, but it felt like I was helping, right? And people could watch it, and I was like, if you want, you can send me $10 via the Venmo or whatever, or you can just stay in your house and watch an hour of comedy. Some people sent me some money, and a lot of people watched it, and it was good. And so I can always do that. And then I cut up Horcrux, I think, into about 50 clips and put those on TikTok and Reels and Instagram and all the things. And that actually drew, it generated fans and stuff like that. So that's cool.
Yeah.
And then, sadly, my album after that, I was like, I don't have another 20 grand. So I did not film Hero. I'm Not the Hero of This Story, which is the current album that's out, which is a pity because that one would have been great. Because now I got to clip those up and all it is stills. Oh. So I'm like, it's not as fun, TikTok, but here you go.
So this special, we'll see. Remains to be seen. Sort of what we
remains to be seen.
Okay.
Available for licensing. Any of you out there work for HBO Max or Netflix or Comedy Central or Peacock or, fucking Quibbly could come back from the dead. I don't care. Just someone. Hand me 20 grand because that's what I need.
Okay. And you said, so you love LA and you're here to stay. Was there something were you always told you were funny your whole life and people were like, but prior to the heckling incident,
No.
Nothing. Okay.
No. I am the youngest of 6.
Oh.
I don't know if you've ever been the youngest of 6, but there's one sibling who's always what I like to call the golden child. And my brother Russ is the golden child. He is currently 60 years old, but he is the golden child.
Still.
And and it's because he doesn't make mistakes. He really, he is very, very... But he's the smart one. He was the good one of the, he wasn't the best looking one, but he was a good looking one. He was, and I remember when I came back from college and I said I was doing stand-up, my stepmother, who had been my stepmother for 10 years, said, "You're not the funny one. Russ is the funny one."
Oh my God.
And I was like, so sad, too bad. I'm going to do stand-up. Pew, 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 pew. And now he's an econ professor.
So fuck him.
And he was on the Dork Forest. It's one of a fan favorite from last year.
Oh.
Because he did Hallmark movies.
Oh, well, that's a good one.
And Spreadsheet with Hallmark movies. Yeah. It's an excellent episode of the Dork Forest. I bet. Can only recommend.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was back to back with Jen Kirkman doing Hallmark movies.
Oh, forget it. Forget it. Okay, good to know. All right, so everyone loves him, so I better not talk shit about the golden child.
Oh, he's fine. He'll get over it. He has a giant bag of Scrooge McDuck money. He's also been very successful, as you can imagine.
Oh, well, doesn't make mistakes.
It's all working out for Russ Kashian. He's had 2 lovely sons. His wife is very nice and very good. They're all good-looking people. It's fine. They have a dog. It's lovely. It's all working out. But he is a good person. So let's... but the thing is he is a bit of a button pusher. So there are moments where you're like, well, it's been great talking to him. Because he's still my brother.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Still a jackass.
Of course. That's like they're born that way. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed your apps, folks. We're going to move on to the entrees after a quick break. We are back, and now it is time for the entrees. Okay, Jackie, this is I call it a speed round of questions, but I actually welcome a ton of stories and whatever you feel like talking about here. So,
sure.
First question is, what was your first job ever where the government was taking taxes out of your money? So not necessarily, you can say babysitting or lemonade stand, we've gotten that answer too, but if you can think of a job where you were like, oh yeah, I was, whatever.
I am, you'll be happy to know that I'm plug and play on this topic.
Amazing.
So, but my first job where the government took some money out, I was a dishwasher.
Oh, wow.
At a restaurant called, I think, like the Blue Heron or some fucking thing. It was horrible. They had like, it was weird. I believe it's a boutique hotel now.
Oh.
Anyway, in Cudahy, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And I was a dishwasher, and it was dumb. And the reason it was dumb was because I was already making money before that. I was 16, and I was a criminal. I was a baby criminal. Here's what happened. When I was 14, there was a pizza place in my small town of South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right just south of Cudahy, where it was called Freshy's Pizza. And their slogan was, we make them, you bake them. And they had a deal where if you bought 3 pizzas, you got 1 for free.
Amazing.
So I went to them and I said, would you like me to advertise and try to sell the pizzas door to door? And they said, what do you want to do? And I didn't have a bike either. I was 14. I didn't own a I So I was like, well, I would just go to different neighborhoods and I would knock and say, Freshy's Pizza, you order a pizza, I'll run and get it, and I'll bring it back to you, and I'll make like $3 a pizza. So South Milwaukee is about 3 square miles, if that. I don't even know. But it was still going to take me an hour to sell 1 pizza, right? To get the sale, call it in from their house, run, pick it up, walk it back.
So it wasn't exactly efficient.
It was so inefficient. So a week of that, I just ordered 3 pizzas, got 4, and sold all 4 of them door to door.
You smart human.
Yes, except for that I lied in the pitch and I said that someone had ordered them, and now I was just trying to get rid of some pizzas. And they of course called Freshies and like, what is happening? And so they fired me. So that was I think the first like external job.
Okay.
I also did this thing with student council candy bars where they were supposed to be 50 cents a piece and you weren't supposed to sell them off campus. Well, everyone was selling them off campus.
Where else you can sell them? Of course.
Right. And so I started selling them in front of Kmart and in front of Kohl's. And at every bar in between them, I was 15 for $1 each.
You are brilliant.
And I was making like $75-$100 a week, spending it all on Donkey Kong and Hubert. And so I was doing that. And the pitch was, would you like to be the proud owner and sole proprietor of a student council candy bar? And I was selling the hell out of them. I got suspended. I got suspended because, of course, I bragged about it. Hubris was my downfall. As is always the case. I bragged about it to Holly Habonic, and Holly Habonic narked on me.
Bitch.
The worst. We had other words when I was in 5th grade. Anyway, I'm sure she's fine now. We're all 100 years old now. So the principal called me into the office and he said, I hear you're selling candy bars for $1 each off campus. Now, I thought he was only mad about off campus. And I said, well, everyone's selling them here. So he was like, yeah, but you're selling them for $1. And I was like, well, you're getting your cut. I don't understand.
Yeah, what's the problem, guy?
Right. And it was like I had punched him in the face because he said, we're going to have to call your parents. And I said, well, my parents know. Of course they know. It was my dad was psyched that I was not an idiot. And so I'm expelled and I'm walking home from school literally terrified, like thinking about suicide. My world has gone topsy-turvy. I thought about throwing myself into traffic. I was like, I'm in trouble for making a profit? This doesn't make any sense to me. So I get home. My dad and my sister are both sitting on the couch. And I don't know if they were there. No, I think I got home and I had to call Nancy. I had to call my stepmother and go, I just got suspended. And so she's like, well, I guess you're grounded. Anyway, I'm at work. I'll be home around 5. And so I hang up. I go to my bedroom. I'm reading a book. I come out. My dad and my sister are sitting on the couch in the living room. And my dad, they looking very stern. And a beat goes by, and they both burst out laughing. And my dad stands up and pats me on the back and says, dinner's on you, kid.
That was it.
That was it.
Unbelievable. See, but you were being an entrepreneur. I don't, like, you weren't doing anything shady necessarily. Except
for that, they did think the whole $1 was going to student council. And, there was the misrepresentation of funds. So I was selling them one time. After that, I was just buying wholesale and selling them, but it wasn't as good of a pitch for obvious reasons. But I was selling them, and this woman was like, why are you doing this? And I said, to make money. And she goes, do you want a job? And I said, sure. Felt like a trick, kid.
Yeah.
Felt like a trick.
Yeah.
And because I was making cash, and then right next to Kmart was the arcade. And in between Kmart and Kohl's was a bowling alley, which had another arcade. Anyway, I had my days planned. So she was like, well, you could have a job at the Blue Heron or whatever as a dishwasher. And I was like, all right.
Oh.
So I had that job for like 6 months until they cut my shifts because I might have had a bad attitude. Anyway.
Hubris was your downfall again.
Always.
Wait, what I don't understand though is, so you sell for a while and the woman offers you the job. Was she offering you more money so that it didn't feel like selling candy bars was going to be a good grift anymore? Or was it like, I should make this move?
I should make this move because we're all told that we should have jobs.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Even with that
being self-employed is somehow
insane.
Not. Yeah. And you're like, okay. And then my dad's like, you're going to work at the Blue Heron? All right. Or whatever. I can't remember what it was called. I don't think it was the Blue Heron.
We're going with that though. So when you were washing dishes, because I've like had to run stuff through the dishwasher just because everybody that's ever worked at a restaurant's had to do it at least once. Yep. And she's motioning with her arms, the like push through, and the steam is so fucking terrible.
And the steam and the hot. And
How did you do that because it's just so hot. How did you do it for 6 months?
Well, It was dumb. But it's, I mean, that's the thing about jobs, right? I mean,
jobs are dumb.
It's whenever comics tell me, I could never do anything else for a living, man. I'm like, what, you don't have any thumbs anymore? Did you lose your thumbs
You're
somehow?
a monkey?
Because you could answer phones, you could do dishes. I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah.
And granted, it's poorly paid. I mean, there's a reason why it's usually not the smartest dude in the world who's your dishwasher.
Or the eldest or the most legally in this country.
Right.
Or
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
There's always something dodgy going on.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Okay, so
it's an entry-level job unless you have a reason to still have that job.
Sure, it's hard. Okay, so you go from your washing dishes for 6 months. Then because you were lovingly, gently let go because of your opinions.
I wasn't even let go. I quit.
Oh, you did?
They just they were just like giving me one shift every 2 weeks or something.
And you're like, I can't live on that because you can't.
Yeah. I wanted to be in marching band. And so they started trying to book me on Friday nights. And I was like, well, that's when the games are. I mean, I got to play my trumpet.
Oh,
and
that's sweet.
It is. It's adorable.
Yeah. Okay. So how many customer service jobs have you had total? And feel free to go through the list.
Right. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then stand up.
I count stand up too.
So probably, yeah. So 6.
Okay. And
it's like, so during college, one of the ways I supplemented my Pell Grants and my student loans was I sold T-shirts at the football games for University of Wisconsin-Madison. I wanted to go up for the marching band. My brother Russ, he comes up again.
Here he goes.
He said, do you want to make money or do you want to spend money? And I was like, how is being in the marching band spending money? That's why I went to Madison. And he was like, by not making money. I can get you a job selling shirts at the games. I never went to a game. I auditioned for the marching band, and Russ was like, "You don't want to go out for the marching band." I mean, literally to this day, still kind of mad about it.
I would be too.
Yeah, but it's fine. I made thousands of dollars. So selling T-shirts, and they were all seconds and irregulars. They were all knockoffs. And because Sid and his son Mark screen printed them themselves. We had Fuck 'em Bucky T-shirts. Fuck 'em Bucky T-shirts, which are now against the law to have,
of course,
because of copyright trademark.
Sure.
And we sold Wisconsin, where Bucky was relieving himself behind a tree. We sold hats that were jock straps called athletic supporter hats. There was a lot of dumb jokes going on.
It sounds like it. Wait, you said you auditioned for the marching band. Did you get in?
I missed the final audition because Russ was like, I'm driving home. Do you want to take the Badger bus or do you want to ride?
Oh, Russ. I mean, I'm sorry. I know your fans like him, but Russ, bro, you're no fan of the arts.
He sabotaged my marching band dreams.
Okay.
I do have a marching band hat that Mike Lacrone, who was the band director for 40 years. He just retired. I got a hat signed by him, and then I wore it too much, and it's starting to wear off. So I'm like, how do I save it?
Yeah.
He's gonna 90 years old. He's gonna die.
And are you still? I'm gonna get back to these questions, but are you still a Madison fan? Like, is that your team, your college team?
If I had one.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
You don't.
Yeah, I am wearing a Milwaukee Bucks hat because I was just in Milwaukee and I wanted to be supportive. But I bought it to be supportive. I don't watch sports at all. But it's so funny because I don't know if you know this about the Milwaukee Bucks, but their slogan?
I don't.
Fear the deer. That's ridiculous and hilarious.
Stop.
Fear the deer.
I'm writing that down.
The only time to be afraid of deer is when you are driving late at night.
Accurate.
And on a country highway.
100% true. Okay, so you said 6 total. So I had the candy bar illegal / also sort of legal sales. I had the Blue Heron.
Right, and Sid Sweet selling shirts outside the football stand. And then I worked they eventually got a store called Sweet Teas.
Okay.
Pew, pew. And Sweet Teas was It was just T-shirts and sweatshirts, hooded sweats. And that was the other thing. Sid would, all of a sudden, he would show up behind you like Baby Yoda.
Ooh.
And he'd be like, you got to talk it up. You got to talk it up. And so you had to yell. You had to bark. You were like, hats,
what?
T-shirts, hooded sweats, hats, T-shirts, hooded sweats.
You're just yelling this at the people walking by.
Oh, yeah.
God.
And he didn't mind, supposedly, he didn't mind markup.
Oh, I'll bet.
Like if you could talk to someone into spending $25 for their second or regular hooded sweatshirt, all the tags were cut. And people would be like, why is the tag cut? And it's like, I don't know. Anyway, so there was a lot of lying in my early sales career, is what I'm saying. I was not the hero of that story. And then, so I worked at Sweet Teas, and then they opened up a store in the Wisconsin Dells, which is essentially, I don't know what, it's like Atlantic City, but Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It's like Old Sac, but Sacramento. Yeah. Kites, fudge, water rides, and
It's
then there's some
Americana.
nature.
Yeah, it's a lot of old Americana.
Right, and I worked, it was dumb. There was a lot of like 70, 80-hour weeks. And I shared a 2-bedroom apartment with there were 5 of us.
Whoa.
It was dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. So that was customer service. That was T-shirts and whatever.
Yeah, so I've got 4.
And then...
What were the other 2?
Yeah, and then hot dog stand in Cape Cod, Provincetown, Massachusetts.
Now, for those that don't know, that used to be an area where a lot of people who identify as gay were able to go and actually express who they were, and it was considered very...
Gay resort.
Yeah.
Huge gay resort
Yeah.
in 1988. 88, 89, and 90, I think I did it. To stay longer would have just been giving up on everything but crawling into a bottle. It was hot dogs and clam baskets and fish, fried fish. And it was one of those window ones.
Oh, wow.
Where I worked the register, and then that was the first year. And then the second year I did the window and the fry, like the fry cook and the fry-later.
Moved up.
And the first year I stayed because I had just graduated from college and I was going to go to Europe for 3 months. And, that's another one. So I spent the dumbest 3 months in London working at a movie theater in Leicester Square.
Oh, I love Leicester Square. That's a hot spot. You were probably busy like crazy.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was super dumb. I worked at the youth hostel from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. I worked at the movie theater. And then guess how much London and England I got.
I was just about to say, you worked all the time. You didn't see anything.
No, I didn't see a lot. I wasn't very good because then I'd come back from the movie theater and I'd just go down and drink with the Aussies and South African dudes.
Sure.
And Carlsberg Lager. It was, and then I'd get up and do it all again.
That was your whole
And
life.
I took a couple of days to myself. Like I went to one theater thing. I went on one bus trip I went to Bath. And
that is nice.
And then I did the Tower Bridge, Yeah. I went to whatever. I did a little bit of tourist stuff, not enough, and then finally quit. And then spent like 3 weeks backpacking, and then came home. Okay. And then the next one after the hot dog stand would have been Kinko's.
Oh my
which is
God.
now FedEx office.
Oh my God.
That was the worst. The very worst.
Okay,
Minneapolis, Minnesota, downtown.
Oh. Okay, we're going to get into that. Wait, I want to go back really quickly. Did the hot dog stand have some sort of punny, ironic name because it was in sort of a gay area?
Nope.
Oh, that's a waste.
No, though I used to say, would you like a condiment on that?
That's funny.
To the very, very drunk gay men, and it would always get a laugh.
I bet. That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. Okay, so then you worked at FedEx office, well, formerly Kinko's, now FedEx office, and you said, now one of our future questions is which was the worst. You're telling me unequivocally this is the worst.
Unequivocally.
Why?
Yeah. Okay, we can just jump right to that.
Let's get there.
Because it was, I think I was making $6.85 an hour.
Oof.
I think it went up to, I was making $6.55, and by the end of the year, I was making $6.85. I was trying to get a job at this hippie T-shirt poster catalog in Minneapolis that my brother was friends with a guy, and
he's got a lot of hookups and T-shirts.
I almost worked in T-shirts in Provincetown, and I lasted 3 hours trying to wait tables in Provincetown.
Oh, it was too much?
Because I lied and said that I knew how to do it. And I did not. It turns out it's a learned skill. And it was a Portuguese restaurant, and I was terrible. And so I got a job at the T-shirt shop, and I worked there, and I was like, I don't like it. And I was like, I can't work in T-shirts anymore. And then I moved to Minneapolis. Oh, that wasn't customer service. The short-lived job I had after I worked at that hot dog stand. My sister was like, you could manage a McDonald's.
That's customer service.
And also do stand-up.
Oh my God. Oh.
And I was like, and do stand-up? I think that's a 90-hour assistant managing a McDonald's, which is where you start.
Yep.
Is a 90-hour-a-week job.
Minimum.
And I was like, not a chance in hell. And she set me up to have an interview anyway.
Oh my God.
And Pizza Hut. And so I go into the McDonald's interview, and it's a big conference room, and I walk in, I'm wearing hose.
Sure.
I'm wearing hose, Kate.
So official.
And I walk in, and before I sit down, the McDonald's HR lady is like, what do you think you have to offer McDonald's? And I said, good morning. How are you? I don't think I was going to get that job anyway. I did not want that job. So
good for you.
Anyway, so Kinko's was the worst because of how little it paid, though everybody got some version. And it was back when color copiers were just invented, and they were $3 each.
Ooh, like a print?
So to print something.
Oof.
Yeah. And so everybody, like I worked with a bunch of guys who were in bands, Minneapolis,
sure,
1990, and they were all making their J boxes for their cassettes. And you know, we all just used it. And and one of your questions is the worst customer ever.
Yeah.
And did you ever tell anyone to fuck off? I told a lot of people to fuck off. But here's the thing is I'm working at Kinko's on a Saturday, and in comes the worst people who come into Kinko's are middle management people who are being squoze from above.
That's right.
And they don't have anyone to squish except for the Kinko's people. And Kinko's itself, still to this day, FedEx office, is just run by people who are trying to the job is multitasking. And it's a shit job. The worst job of working at Kinko's would be working at a cell phone store. That's as far as I can tell. It's the only job that's worse. And my oldest brother has managed them for years, and my nephew is currently managing one. And you have to know everybody's phone. You have to know the software for all this stuff. They are all set up with this sort of weird circle thing where it's not like the bank where you would just go in and get a number, get in line. It's all set up like it's always set up to drive you insane. Anyway, but Kinko's, so this woman walks in Saturday. It's just me and another guy working. He's on break. I distinctly remember it was the summer that the croissant was invented at Burger King because he was eating a croissant. We just made fun of it. Woman comes in, downtown Minneapolis. It's dead, empty, downtown Minneapolis on a Sunday afternoon. And she's like, I need copies of this real estate, these photos of these houses, and I need it for my boss and all these things. And I was like, okay. And so I try to make the color copier work. There's too much red. It will not work. We go back and forth. I'm like, it's not working. There's another Kinko's uptown Minneapolis. I can call them, make sure that their color copier is working. And she's like, can you just try again? So I try again. I can't make it work. And she's like, why can't you make it work? And I was like, because it's not working. I only know how to set the thing. And she's getting angrier and angrier. And she's like, try it again. And I was like, I gotta be done. We've done like 11 copies.
How many more rounds of this?
These,
yeah.
But they're not good enough. But you can have them. And you could go up to uptown. And she's like, just try one more time. And I said, no, we got to be done, ma'am. And she goes, how long have you worked here? Now, if you've worked in customer service, that is the worst thing to ask anyone, ever.
Never, ever do that.
Don't ever do that. Because, first of all, the answer is too long.
Always. It's always too long.
Always too long. Because you just ruined whatever I liked about this job by asking me that fucking
exact question.
And so I said, oh, we're so done now. You can leave.
You said it just like that?
And yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And she goes, what? And I said, have a good day. And I just stood there and she's like, I'd like to talk to your manager. And I said, why don't you try talking to me instead of just yelling at me? And she's like, where is your manager? I said, we don't have a manager here today. Don't let the door hit you. See ya. And she's like, what? All of a sudden, Chris Sandwich guy comes out. And he taps her on the shoulder and goes, how's it going? What's going on? And the woman is like, this woman is being rude to me. And I said, the color copier isn't working. And he goes, why don't you take a break, Jackie? I'll take care of her. And I said, you don't need to take care of her. She's leaving. And he goes, I get that. Why don't you hit the break room and I'll be right, and we'll deal with it. And I was like, okay. And I back up. He stands in front of me. So I don't leave. I'm standing right behind him. She can see me. He can't see me. He's talking to her. She starts essentially lying. I'm not necessarily the hero of what just happened, but she's saying that I was rude from the beginning. I am the golden retriever of customer service, man. I am like, hi, welcome to the fucking thing. And so
said just like that.
Just like that. And so she is like saying that she was like, she doesn't know how to use the equipment. Can you try all these things? And he's like, ma'am, the color copier isn't working. And so she just starts on and on and on. And finally, I've had it. And I just look at her and I mouth the words, but I do not say them. Crybaby. And I make a tear motion down my cheek.
I cannot.
And she bursts into tears and says, I am not a crybaby, and storms out. Now, the next time I'm working is Tuesday. Now, this is 1990. I was born in 1965, so 75, 85. I'm 25 years old. My boss is 23 years old. And so on Tuesday, I go into work, and she's like, hey, Jackie, let's go get a croissant.
A croissant sandwich.
But so we go, and she buys me a cup of coffee. And she's like, you have got to tag out. You have to just tag team. I know she was wrong. You didn't handle it great. And I was like, fair enough. Do you want me to quit? And she's like, no, we need you. And so I lasted a little bit longer. And then I got the job at Northern Sun Merchandising, where I filled orders for a while, and then I became the customer service rep. And Northern Sun Merchandising in Minneapolis is a catalog. I don't know if it's still there, but I think they were making a lot of money. But I think the owner, who is a friend of my brother's, is, he's my brother's age. He wants to retire. So the customer service situation there, everyone at Northern Sun is stoned. Or drunk, because it's a hippie skippy t-shirt piece.
Back to the t-shirts.
Right. It's all gay rights, lesbian rights, black rights, peacenik, hippie. We sold Howard Zinn, the People's History of the United States. It was all buttons, bumper stickers, posters. And so everybody's stoned and fulfilling orders.
Oh my God. The margin for error. There must be mistakes constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm the customer service person.
God.
And I answer the phone and I'm like, hi, Jackie. I'm customer Northern Sun Merchandising. And it was, I got the wrong shirt. And so.
How many times did you get that call?
Hundreds of times. I worked there from 1991 to 1996, 5 years. And I got that hundreds and hundreds of times. I got that call.
I'm dying.
And I would just fix it.
Sure.
And I would just send a call tag, UPS call tag. Just all you got to do is tape it up and then, just put this number on the outside. UPS will pick it up. They'll bring it back to us. We'll send you the right one. And then I just essentially just filled the correct order. And then sometimes I was drunk. So I would fulfill it incorrectly.
You'd correct the problem incorrectly.
Exactly.
Wait, were the owners aware that everybody was fucked up all the time?
They were fucked up. Scott Kramer has been high off and on since 1977.
Okay, so everybody is a mess. So when you would fulfill the order, or when you would correct incorrectly, would you get an even angrier phone call follow-up that was like, what the fuck is going on over there?
A couple of times people did get mad just because it was close to Christmas and it was a gift and it was all these things. So I had to do a lot of refunds and a lot of, I'm so sorry.
Mea culpa,
and, right. But people, in the catalog, I helped write some of the catalog and the return policy written by me. And the return policy is literally, remember who you ordered from. Errors might occur. We will fix them,
but
we are sorry. I know that my brother was telling me, I know that like most of the people that I worked with no longer work there, but Northern Sun. Oh, they were completely unmarred, by the way. Oh yeah, they're still around. They have a really cool shirt.
Jackie's real time looking it up.
Yeah. It's so funny that, they're still here. They're still selling t-shirts and posters, and
they sure are.
It's lovely. But it's, there was a time when he went through Native American phase.
Okay.
He was dating this Minneapolis is the largest urban Native American population in the country.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, Scott was dating this woman who was Native American, I believe, but it was when the Dreamcatcher was sweeping the nation. And so Dreamcatchers and sage and, a lot of, to this day, and quite honestly, my husband is like, I like to sage things. And Andy is like, why does it smell in here? And I was like, leave me alone. Get rid of ghosts. I got crystal clutcher work to do. Leave me alone.
Okay, so after Northern Sun merchandising, what was the next? Was it then all stand up from there on out?
Well, it was like when I worked like in New York City, I had a job that was dumb. And that, like, I've always had dumb jobs, and people are always like, why do you have dumb jobs? And I was like, because I want to save all of my creative energy for stand-up comedy.
That's right.
So I can't have a job where I have to think too much.
Yes.
Or if I have to write for someone else, right? So when I moved to Los Angeles, my roommate, Jennifer McLean, got me a terrible job, one of the worst jobs, rivaling Kinko's, quite honestly. It was worse than Kinko's in payment. And it was the dumbest job. I was a secret shopper for grocery stores. I made $2.50 for every grocery store that I secret shopped.
That's it? That's not even worth your you can't even walk in the front door and have that be worth your time.
It was terrible.
Oh.
Anyway, and it's a terrible job. And then I got a job in their office where I got to I was surrounded by some of the meanest people I've ever met in my life. And I was like, I got to find other work. And so then I started temping like you do when you move to Los Angeles. And temping is terrible.
Yes, it is.
But it's a thing. And then I went temp to perm at an admin job at a closed captioning company.
Wow.
And that was my last day job so far. We knock on wood. Vitech, it's a closed captioning company, and then closed captioning services. And I didn't close caption. A couple of reasons why. One, you are responsible for shows. Matt Bronger and Kyle Kinane both worked as captioners.
They did? I love Kyle Kinane. Oh, I don't know
They're
Matt,
adorable.
but I love... Yeah, they are. That's amazing.
They're both great. And then I was the admin. I just answered the phones and I did traffic, which was... When I first started there, I think it was 98. I was in charge of digitizing the tapes. We would get 3/4-inch tapes, and I would digitize everything.
Wow.
And then I would answer phones, and then I would help with scheduling. I didn't do the scheduling. I would just help with it.
Sure.
And I did that for probably 5 years, 2003. Wow. 98 to 2003, several different places. I eventually quit when I got my half-hour special on Comedy Central because I was like, you have got to try to do this for a living. And it was hard the first couple of months. It took a second. You have to figure out, when you make your own money, how to budget and how to make that happen, right? And I was always willing to go back to temping. I was always willing. But that job had been so flexible. My boss was the nicest boss I had. And people would be, like, I talked to a lot of post-production people and production people. And I would be late. Like the shows would be late, or there'd be some sort of problem, and I'd be like, you are correct. There is trouble. We will fix. I am so sorry.
I've got experience at Northern Sun merchandising. I know how to fix big errors.
I can tell you how this should have gone. We all know how it should have gone. And I am sorry it did not go that way. But it was so funny because when I quit, what they would let me do at Vitech and at CCS, she was my same boss. I just went with her. She would let me go on the road either 2 6-week runs or 1 10-week run, and they would just get a temp. And I kept my insurance.
That is lovely as fuck and so rare.
So rare, so lovely. So when I finally quit, she literally said to me, are we not being flexible enough, Jackie?
Bless her.
And I said, the only way you could be more flexible, Deborah Schuster, is if you were to just keep paying me. And then I would show up just to go out to lunch with you sometimes.
Because I like
it. And and she was like, oh, yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we can't do
that.
So. Okay, so I just counted from what you've just said. I counted actually 12 customer service jobs because I separated the CCS out. So you had 2 closed captioning or that sort of post-production stuff. Then you had the Northern Sun Merchant. Well, anyway, the listeners have heard it. So I counted 12 because I'm also counting comedy. So that's amazing. Okay, now we've already discussed which one was your least favorite. So it was Kinko's tied with the Secret Shopper. How long did you last at the Secret Shopper job at $2 a minute or whatever?
Maybe 3 months.
Good God. But you weren't even, how were you making enough money to make that worth your time?
Jennifer McLean shared and I shared a studio.
That's crazy.
And the studio, and this was in 98 or 97. So a studio apartment in Studio City or North Hollywood was $350.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean,
with parking for both of us.
But if you're only making $2 a grocery store, short of hitting 100,
I got to keep the food, Kate. I got to keep the.
Well, I mean, all right. I guess that's something. Nope. Okay. So then we've heard your least favorite. Which was your favorite of all of them? You can't say comedy because obviously comedy, but of the one.
I'm a simple person. Like, I liked most of them. The hot dog stand was in Provincetown was amazing.
I bet.
Because it would start at 9 a.m. At 11 a.m., if you were not working the window, you could start drinking at 11 a.m. If you were working the grill or the fry later, you could start drinking at 11 a.m.
I'm noticing a theme of your favorites. Okay.
You will. And then if you worked the front, you couldn't start drinking until 6 p.m.
Well, that's bullshit.
Because we closed at 10. So you only had 4 hours of free drinks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the favorite. I understand that.
Yeah, probably. But the merch was great because they had a full kitchen and you could cook lunch. You could bake a chicken and then sort of have, a full meal. You could roast vegetables. All the hippies were like, it was adorable.
Yeah, they're making their own granola at lunch. I mean, that's pretty dope.
Essentially, right.
Okay.
I was introduced to root vegetables.
Oh, Lord.
I was macrobiotic, except for the beer, for 2 years.
Without even really trying, because you were surrounded by a bunch of people that could tell you about it. Okay, what's the weirdest thing you've been asked to do whilst on the clock?
On the clock? Mm-hmm. Wow, the weirdest thing. Jesus, I didn't see that question. I think driving from the hot dog stand to the pizza place in my boss's 72 VW Bug, and he's like, you could drive a stick, Rick? And I was like, sort of. Now, of course, I could drive a stick, but I mean, and I was half in the bag. So he was like, we need something from the grocery store. And I was like, why don't I just run? And he's like, because I need you back not in an hour and a half. I need you back in 45 minutes. And I was like, okay. And so I'm like in his VW Bug and... the word, because the boss at the hot dog stand, he would drink all day from 9 a.m. And then at 3:30, he would have a Manhattan, because at 5, he owned a pizza stand in Truro, a pizza restaurant. And so when after Labor Day, all the tourists go away in Provincetown, he was like, well, do you want to work at the hot dog stand during the day and then at the pizza place at night? And you can make pizzas. And I was like, okay, I'll make pizzas. And he's like, we should have shots so that the buzz lasts until we get to the pizza place. And we get to the pizza place, and so then I'm just tossing pizzas. So
half in the bag.
Half of the bag. But he went back to beers, and I went back to beers, and Amstel Light, and so, and then at the end of the night. I think he got one of the bartenders who was sober to drive me back to P-Town. So, and I was living in a perfectly dumb apartment there. So that was probably the weirdest thing, is to drive.
Okay.
pick up stuff while drunk.
While driving a stick shift that you were not good at. Okay.
Yeah.
What's an incident that made that? Well, we mentioned Crybaby at Kinko's, but was there another customer you could think of that had an incident where they asked to speak to your manager?
No.
You were able to kind of smooth everything else over.
Just stand up.
Oh, wait, what?
In stand up, I've walked people.
How? Your comedy's so enjoyable. You tell personal stories. How is that? How can you walk
I'm the golden retriever of stand up comedy.
Yeah, and customer service. How?
I kicked a guy out in Minneapolis. Did not know he was attached to 51 other people at my home club.
Ooh.
And it cost the club a couple grand. And Louis Lee, who owns Acme Comedy Club, where I just recorded my new album, he was like, after the show, he was like, well, that was a lot. And I said, I am so sorry. I did not know. And it was 5 minutes into my set.
Wait, why? Can you tell the story around it?
Well, okay, so I was headlining. Chad Daniels was featuring.
Okay.
Do you know Chad?
I don't.
He's the greatest. He's one of the greatest stand-up comedies workers today. If you like Bill Burr.
Oh, I love Bill Burr.
He's better than Bill Burr.
All right, I'm writing that down. Chad Daniels. Okay.
Chad Daniels. See all of his works.
Okay.
And, but if you love Bill, you'll love Chad. I forget who was emceeing, but whatever it was, Chad got off stage and he goes, there's a guy in the front second row who was mean to the MC. He wouldn't stop with me. He's the worst. And so I get on stage predisposed. The first guy who pipes up, I'm like,
that's the guy.
You got to go. It was the boss.
Oh, my God.
And it was in November, so it was corporate.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Louis did not book me near Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Ever again?
For the next 3 years.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I called for a week the following year, and he's like, what about March?
What about
I was like, hey, can I get November? And he was like,
No.
Nah.
No, we're not going to do that again.
I'm thinking March. And I'm like, and I hang up and I was like, oh my God, was it because of that? Because I'll eat it for 45. I won't ever kick anyone out again. And he was like, how about March? March.
He's like, love ya.
And then it was summer. And then and I finally worked back until my triumphant New Year's Eve return.
Yay.
And whatever, except for I hate working New Year's Eve. And then a terrible thing happened. Would have been, I think, September of 2019 or December of 2019, where I was in Rosemont Zanies outside of Chicago.
Sure, yeah, Zanies, yeah.
And it was a new manager, and there was a woman who had come for her birthday, paid VIP. Her and either her husband or her dad looked exactly like Leonard Brezhnev. Why I remember what that guy looks like.
Yeah,
they sat in the front row. She was wearing a MAGA hat, and she was heckling me.
Of course she was.
And literally, like, whisper heckling me, so no one else could hear her.
Oh, that's sociopathy. That's weird.
So it was completely. She's a sociopath.
Yeah.
And what happened was there were corporates, and there was a big guy who kept going, just ignore her, and I was like, I can't ignore her. You're not hearing her say shit to me. And she was saying that I was fat. She was like, do you like my hat? You're really not funny. Like, it just was like this whole, and it was nonstop. And I was terrified because these are the fucks that carry guns.
Accurate.
And so I was scared, but I knew I had to do my time because you don't get paid in stand-up unless you do your time. And so everybody else walked. Like the two baseball soccer team moms and dads, they all left. Like 40 people walked out.
Because they hear her heckling you and they're like, we can't deal.
And they're like, and at one point, she drove me so fucking mad. I said, how long have you been a Nazi? And she said, my whole life.
Oof.
And I said, well, then you could fuck right off, cunt.
Good for you. Did you really say it just like that?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Jackie. Good.
And so that's sort of after that is when they all left. And so then afterwards, all my merch is set up. But I just go into the green room and just hide after the show. And finally, one of the security guards, who did nothing during the show, comes up to me and he's like, hey, there's people who want to buy merch. And I was like, are the horrible people still here? And he's like, they are. And I said, I'll try. And so I went out and I tried. And They cornered me.
Of course they fucking did, because they're terrible fucking sociopaths.
Right. So she's standing almost touching me with the brim of her hat.
Wow.
But they don't touch me at all. And somebody talks to her, so she turns around. Brezhnev backs me up against the wall. Security guard standing there.
Just watching this all happen?
Watching it all happen. Brezhnev has got me, and I push him.
Good. You should have.
And as soon as I touched him, I get the red card, right? Then the security guard comes over, and he's like, and I said, I get it. I'll take myself back off. And so I go back to the green room, and like 20 people hung out, like fans. And they're like, we want to give you some money. We want to buy merch. We want to tell you that it's not your fault. And I'm scared, and I'm all upset and frustrated and all these things. So the next day I come in, and the general manager is there. And I'm like, hey, I don't want anybody. We're not a political rally. No political shit. I won't wear my political shit. They don't have to wear their political shit. And he's like, we can't do that. And he's like, come into my office. Let's talk about this. And I was like, because here's a customer service moment. He was like, so what the hell happened? And I said, security never removed them. And he said, so this is our fault?
Oh, fuck off. Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. And I said, yeah, it certainly isn't my fault. I did my job. I did my time. And he was like, and it started escalating. And I said, let's bring it down a notch. You had a horrible day at work, I bet, today. And he said, Yelp has been fucking blowing up. And I said, I get that. Know that I had a horrible night at work last night. So we both had a horrible day at work. Let's bring it down and just move forward from here, because it's over now, right? Now we just have to fix it. Now we just have to triage it. And he was like, well, do you want to go up tonight? And I was like, yes, because if I said no, then they don't have to pay me. And so I was like, yeah, of course. And so it was literally the second show of a 7-show week.
Oh.
I had 5 more shows. And every night I'm just twitchy as fuck. And I get off, I come home and I'm like, I can't work that club anymore.
Yeah.
And about 3 months later, so it's like February, the world's about to go into lockdown. I get a call on my voicemail from supposedly a Chicago cop. And I never returned that call because, first of all, we weren't in Chicago. We were in Rosemont. I don't live there. And because the manager was like, they want to see the security footage. And I laughed because stand-up comedies don't have, they barely can record your set.
Hello.
Much less.
You have this forensics team that can give you DNA from the back. Like, fuck off.
Zoom in here. Get in. Blow this picture up.
Pause it.
Exactly.
Pause it. Who is that? Fuck off.
Yeah, nobody has the hologram machine from Bones. Anyway, so that was the worst. And I don't want to go back to that club.
No, I would imagine, though.
And quite honestly, I'm on like a 5-year rotation with Bert anyway. So who knows? The next time I will have forgotten it, because that's the nature of stand-up. You'll forget and just go back.
Because bad shit happens always, and that's that antagonistic shit. It's like that's like the whisper harassment of you. I mean, it was all so fucking calculated to push you to the edge. That's so gross.
Yeah. It was literally, it was orchestrated for that.
100%. What was the last straw that got you out? Was there like a moment with a job, maybe I don't know, whatever job you can think of, that you were just like, oh, I am out. Like, I will not go back.
Oh, this is not a service job, or was it? I was in the typing pool at an insurance company called Chubb Life. I'm not making that up.
Stop.
Chubb Life. And I worked, I didn't work in the World Trade Center, but I worked in a building right next to the World Trade Center.
Oh, wow.
And it would have been 1989, 88. I tried to move to New York City. It did not work. In 1989, you couldn't even get on stage if you barked. It was pre-barking. So it was all bringers.
Oh.
And I didn't know anyone. And so I got a job at a Chubb Life. I was the administrator secretary to a woman who worked in the insurance company.
Okay.
And remember how drunk I was at all of my jobs.
Yes.
She was drunk at an insurance job.
Ooh, that's specific. Oof.
She was passed out most days.
Ooh. Ooh.
So the last straw was I went to a weekly meeting it was all the secretaries and all the insurance muckety-mucks. We were all in this conference room, and she was there just hungover. I don't think she was drunk yet. And she had a giant rip in her nylon on the back of her leg. And I was like, I can't stay at this job and work for this woman.
Oh, yeah.
So I literally went to her boss and I said, yeah, my mom has cancer. I have to go back to Wisconsin. My mom died when I was 7. So if you're going to kill someone, you got to kill someone already dead. Otherwise, it's bad karma, man. And he did not believe me because it was right after that meeting. He was like, what if I let you go back to Wisconsin for 2 weeks? We'll still pay you. We'll pay you 2 weeks pay. It'll be $1,200, $600 a week. And I was like, no, she's gonna need a lot of help. And that was when I went back and I lived with my sister for the winter before I moved to Minneapolis.
Wow. It's like first we gotta dig her up, then we gotta reconstruct her body, then we gotta give her bones cancer.
Yeah.
Okay.
She died in a drunk driving accident, my dead mother.
Oh, wow. That's, I'm sure there's humor somewhere in that.
There is. She was 33 when she died. Age of Christ? Yes. Coincidence.
He turned water into wine. Your mom might have been the reincarnation.
She was also killed on a Harley Davidson, and we're from Milwaukee, so we're proud.
You should.
Right, because it could have been a Kawasaki. Come on,
and that would have been embarrassing. Oh my God,
yes.
The chatter. Chatter. I cannot deal. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you've answered, have you told a customer to fuck off? We call it her crybaby, so that's a nicer way of saying fuck off. Now, this question is usually for people who have worked in like the bar scene, although having been a dishwasher, this may apply to you. How many bodily fluids have been on your person whilst you were on the clock?
Oh my God, I don't think, probably just spittle.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, I think none. Yeah, I think I'm good.
Lucky you. Do you personally tip?
Oh my God, yeah. Always. And I overtip.
How much?
And we're in a pandemic. So pandemic time, everybody gets $20.
No matter what.
Rockefeller. Yeah.
Wow. Rockefeller for real. Wow, that's lovely.
Right. And everybody's shocked and I go, yeah, it lasts as long as till the money runs out.
Oh.
Take it.
That's really lovely. Like even at the coffee shop everywhere, you're giving everybody a 20. Wow. That's lovely.
And it's slowed down because there's more out in the world. But it's I only learned about tipping in hotels like 7 or 8 years ago.
I learned 3 days ago. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, the people who clean the hotels, it should be $5 a night. Is $3 to $5 a night if you can, and if you can do better, leave $20, and then I tip $20 at when I check in.
Do you really? When you check in at a hotel?
Because I don't know how to do it with any style or panache. So I literally say I read an article that said that the people at the front desk never get tipped. Have lunch on me.
And what do they cry? That's so lovely.
They are sometimes nonchalant because people do it a lot, and but most of the time they're like, you don't have to. But sometimes you don't have to, which is hilarious. I've said that to people who tip me really well, and the guy was like, never say that again. And he had clearly worked in the service industry. He's like, never tell people not to give you money.
Facts. That's an energetic.
Just say thank you.
Thank you.
And be happy.
That's right.
That they have, because you're not making a lot of money. What do you care? If they can afford to give you this money, they will give it to you. If they cannot afford to, they will not give it to you. So don't sweat it.
Yeah, I didn't. Lisa Curry, whose podcast you have been on, she just told me, we were just in Vegas together a couple of days ago, and she said to me, she was like, oh no, you tip at a hotel room. And I was like, record scratch, what? Because my parents had done it, but I just thought they got a memo or something specific about the room. And Lisa was like, no, this is a thing. And I was like, oh, I'm a real asshole. Like, I just haven't done it.
Well, and you can't know until you know.
That's right. And now I know.
Now everyone knows.
That's right.
And so you tip as well as you can just to make up for the fact that you didn't.
Yeah, that's right. Now I'm going to bless everybody.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. For 20 years, I did not.
Therefore.
And for the last 15, I have. So, or whatever.
Do you ever not tip?
No.
Never.
Here's the thing. Uber and Lyft. Sometimes I'll have a terrible Lyft. And I'm like, I've actually not tipped on a Lyft. I was like, because I took it to Twitter one day. I said, what should I do? Should I give him the one star or not tip? Because it was terrible. And they're like, don't tip. The 1 star will affect his income in the long run.
That's right. It will.
So that's the only time I don't tip.
And why was that particular ride extra terrible?
It's happened several times, and it's usually because it either reeks in the car, or they drive like a maniac.
Yeah.
Or they ask me if I'm married, or, it's any number, a handful of reasons that are always gross.
Yeah.
And you're like, nope.
Not going to give you the extra. Okay.
Or they're racist.
Oh, bye.
Yeah.
Super
right.
bye.
You're just like, there's no way to jump out of the car at 55, but it will affect the tip.
That's right.
Sure.
Have you ever been fired from a customer service job?
No. Wait. I have only been, and it wasn't like a you're fired kind of situation.
Yeah.
I have been let go, and it wasn't customer service. I was the announcer for the St. Paul Saints baseball team for an interstitials on a local TV station in Minneapolis.
That's
for probably 4 games, 3 games maybe.
Why only 3 games?
I don't know anything about baseball. I made everything into a sort of a cryptic historical or political joke. I was not perfect for this job. They replaced me with someone who was better. Like Aaron Foley would have been perfect for that. Greg Proops. These are people, Jimmy Pardo. These are people who know and care about baseball.
Yeah. You were not that human. Okay.
No.
And, well, you've answered this, but if there's anyone else you can think of, this is the last question of this section. Worst customer. Are we still saying crybaby lady as our worst?
Probably,
yeah. She's up there.
That's the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, she's up there. Okay. Well, now we're going to move on to the good stuff. We hope you saved room for dessert. What was the nicest thing a customer has done for you whilst you were working? And in this context, you can also, if there's a fan that has done something extra nice for you or something you can think of that you're like, this was lovely, feel free to tell that.
Oh, there's always, literally, so I do the dork forest, right? Mm-hmm. And nobody is nicer.
That's true.
And dorks.
That's right.
Dorks and nerds and podcast fans in general.
That's right.
Smoke up the people because they're psyched.
Yeah.
They're listening to hours and hours. They feel like they know you, and they do. Like, they know me better than I know them, for sure. Mm-hmm. And so many nice things. One of my fans gave me enough money to record this film.
Oh, my God.
This thing. Yeah. Like, literally that much money.
That is so lovely.
That's an enormous amount of money. And she was like, well, I could give you that again. And I was like, well, wait till next year. And I was like, it's okay. But people bring me gifts and they, like, somebody made me, I wish I was wearing it. They made me a beaded bracelet and stuff. Oh. So, cash and prizes is all lovely.
Yeah.
But it's like, I had a terrible gig in Albuquerque, New Mexico once. And there was a woman who came to the show who the gig was so terrible, I couldn't even ask for a ride to the airport.
Wait, why?
Just because it was owned by this horrible dude his wife picked me up from the airport. The first thing she said to me was, if we don't like you, we're not going to have you back. And I said, well, that's true every week. And
Jesus, what a way to start.
So I get there. The MC was the fry cook, and one time missed introducing me.
No, because he was making fries?
Yeah, because they wouldn't let him have the night off.
Jackie!
They needed him on a Saturday. I know, it was terrible. The club's closed. It's the worst club in the world. The guy was such a shit. I came in once early to the gig. You know, I was staying at the condo. The condo is a polite way of saying an apartment that they rent that they put the same comics at every week and don't clean particularly well and never replace the carpet. The iron was chained to the wall.
What?
Who are you booking that is stealing an 11-year-old iron? $11 iron. So I was like, this gig is ridiculous. It was $7 to get in to see the show. They did not police the room at all.
Ooh.
And I showed up one night early for the show, and the owner of the club was kissing the manager of the club. So he was having an affair with the manager of the club.
Okay.
I had to police the room myself every night. He saw me one night. It was the Saturday. And so I walk in before Saturday for a show. He's making out with the manager. I walk out. I do my set. First show was the one where he missed introducing me. Second show, the MC missed introducing me. Second show, I go up. It was the last show of the week. I opened with a fart joke because I just needed to get their attention.
Sure.
That was the only set the guy saw. So he was like, I saw you open with a fart joke. And I said, did you see how unruly the audience was? And he looks at the manager and goes, are you having trouble policing the room? And the woman threw me under the bus and goes,
of course.
She's had a hard time controlling the room. And I said, did you just tell me that I had a hard time doing my job? I've been doing this for 20 odd years. And she goes, and the owner guy goes, you know, I headline Vegas. And I almost said to him, you know, townie bars don't count, buddy. But I did not.
You're a fucking hero for not saying that.
I just let it go. And then I came back. He said I had to refund like 5 people. And I said, $35? And I turned to her and she was like, how do you want your pay for the week? And I said, in cash, please. And she handed me $1,200 in sweaty 20s. And I take it and I go, sometimes it doesn't work out very good, the shows. And so I put it in my pocket and now I can't ask them for a ride to the airport.
No, you super can't.
But one of the fans was this older woman, older than me at the time. And she was like, you were so great. I loved it. And I said, yeah, now I just have to figure out how to get to the airport at the crack before dawn tomorrow. And she's like, I'll drive you.
Bless.
And I was like, at 5 a.m. And she's like, entirely, not a problem.
Oh, I love
she drove me to
like
the airport in Albuquerque. Yes.
What a lovely human. That is the absolute nicest thing. That's lovely.
It was awesome.
And that early. God, I won't even drive friends to the airport. That's much less a stranger. That's really lovely. What's the best tip? Well, I guess you haven't really worked a tipped position necessarily, so I don't know.
The hot dog stand was the guy tipped me $10.
That's nice.
And I said, you shouldn't. And he was the one who said, never say that. And then he told me that he had just caught a tuna. And he was a tuna fisherman.
Sure.
In Provincetown at the hot dog stand.
Yeah.
And he said, the tuna will sell for $22,000.
Holy God.
Yeah.
And he's like, so let me give you this 10 spot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me give you this 10 spot for my foot-long hot dog. So
that's lovely.
Yes.
Okay. You've told us a lot of nice stories, but do you have like a best customer interaction, or like, did you ever get a really lovely phone call when you were working for the merchandising place? Is there somebody that sticks out that you're like, this is the best?
No.
Okay.
I'm out of stories.
Okay.
Those were them. I did it.
You did it. Okay. What's one piece of advice that you would give to customers who interact with customer service workers?
Just obviously patience. You know, I will tell you this story, which is I used to do childcare. When I first moved to Minneapolis, that was my other job. My boss at Vitech in closed captioning services, I took care of her kids for like 5 years. And they were wealthy. You know, they lived in Agoura Hills, and they the first night I babysat for them, I showed up and she gave me $100 to take them to the movies. And I was like, what? What is all this money for? So when we went to the movies, I paid for the movies for the 3 of us. They asked if they could have popcorn and candy, and I said, clearly. And then afterwards, they were like, we were at a mall, and they were like, can we get a toy? And I was like, clearly. And so I come home and I give her the, $20 change, and she's like, "Did you spend all of it?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Clearly I should have told you that this was just in case you needed more. They shouldn't have all that." And I was like, "Okay." So the girl was kind of a pill of a kid. And they were both used to a lot of stuff. And there used to be a Disney themed costume theater, like it was like a Chuck E. Cheese kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where you would go, but they would put the kids, you could be a princess, you could be Shrek. Like they would put you in the costume. And it was super fun. You could play in like a ball jumping play. It was really fun. So we were in line, and Caitlin said something. She was 8 or 9 years old. So, and she's 25 now, 28. So if she's listening, you were a child. Anyway, but the thing is so she was rude to the woman. But the thing was, she was rude to the woman, and I said, "Caitlin, this woman is at work. We are not at work. Whenever someone else is at work, they win. You get to be extra nice to someone who is at work because you're not at work. You've already won."
Hello.
And so my favorite thing, Jillian Jacobs at the hot dog stand, she was my coworker at the hot dog stand.
Yeah.
People would come up, "Don't do this when you go to McDonald's or when you go to when you're standing in line to just go to the counter." People will literally do this. They'll be looking at the menu, and the person will say, "Hi, what would you like?" Or, "Hi, can I help you?" Right? Whatever you say. And they will just look at the thing and not make eye contact and just go, "Hamburger, medium Coke, small fry." And then they'll lean back. And Jillian Jacobs at the hot dog stand would always say, "What about them?"
Oh, amazing.
"Would you like them? Would you like to use, what about the word please or a determiner?" And it literally made such an impression on me that I try to make eye contact when I go to like any sort of Subway, fast food, anything,
Sure.
where you're just like, "Hi, how you doing?" The grocery store, because they're forced to ask you how you're doing.
That's right.
You can ask them how they're doing, and they might appreciate it. They might also just keep it going and remember that they're at work. That's all.
That's right. Well, how can people get in touch with you, Jackie? How can they listen to,
Well, my PIN number. No, anyway,
don't do it. Don't do it. How can they listen to you? Like, how often does the Jackie and Laurie show come out?
All my albums and stuff are on Spotify and Amazon and Pandora and all that.
Okay.
Jackie Kashian is literally spelled Jackie Kashian, Kashian. And so it's at Jackie Kashian on everything.
Oh.
TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram.
Lucky you. You got all the
Facebook.
handles. That's great.
I get all the handles. But if you go to Jackie Kashian, Venmo, if you go to JackieKashian.com, you can watch videos of my stand-up.
Amazing.
You can find out where I'm going to do stand-up. And you can see what merch I have and stare at it or buy it.
Okay. And do you have any shows coming up, or is it sort of pandemic question marks? You do? Okay, great.
No. I've been on the road since the end of April.
Oh, okay.
Because to get ready for the new album, which I just recorded 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now I guess I'm on the road. So the 13th and 14th, I'm at Stir Crazy in Phoenix.
Okay.
And then I'm in Las Vegas at the Laugh Factory. And then I'm in Albany, New York at the Funny Bone opening for Maria Bamford. And then I'm opening for her at various improvs around the LA area. So
that's great.
And then it just keep going. It just continues to occur. So go to JackieKashian.com.
JackieKashian.com, and we will put that.
When will this come out?
Well, we'll talk about that off air because we'll time it for when you need it. So it can come out whenever.
Okay, because I do online shows too. So if you don't live anywhere near me, check out. I always do. I loved Zoom shows, so I'm still doing Zoom shows.
Okay. Yeah. We will, all that stuff will be in the show notes, y'all, and you can look and we'll link to her site, etc. And okay. Well, folks, we're going to drop your checks now. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to help us out here at Service from Hell, we'd love to have you subscribe, rate, and or review the show wherever you listen. It really helps. And it will help us reach more people that need to be schooled on the art of being kind and will be catharsis for those of us still working in the industry. If you want to get in touch with us here directly at Service from Hell, send us your receipts at servicefromhellpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Remember, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out. So don't be garbage and be good to people. It's easier that way. Thanks, folks. Good night. Thanks, Jackie. This was lovely. Really appreciate you being on. Thanks for all your time.
Thanks.
All right. We'll see y'all later. Good night.